Assalamu alaikum. Today I was going through a very important article written by Malia Lodi, who was a former permanent representative of Pakistan to the United Nations. The topic is governance failures. Actually, it deals with those aspirants who are preparing for CSS and competitive examinations. So I just thought to just point out the main arguments what she has talked about. We see that the writer's central argument is Pakistan's governance problems are not primarily caused by the number or size of its provinces. When you just deep down into the article, you will understand the arguments what she has just taken to discuss about. Then she says that she is responding to the idea that Pakistan should create more provinces or administrative units because the existing system has supposedly collapsed. Her position is that changing provincial boundaries will not automatically solve Pakistan's governance crisis. Okay, I just noted down the points and I just am discussing with you. And what does the writer say about? What does governance failure mean actually? Governance means the way a country is administered, how the government makes decisions, provides services, manages money, maintains law and order, and implements policies. Governance failures, therefore, means failures such as actually what failures are a weak administration, poor public services, corruption, and elite influence, political instability, a weak economic management, lack of reforms, poor education, healthcare, energy shortages, environmental problems, ineffective institutions. Actually, the writer says Pakistan suffers from many interconnected failures rather than one simple administrative problem. I am just delivering my, this you can say lecture in English because the article particularly deals in English, and those who are just preparing themselves for the competitive examinations, they will attempt in English. So it's better to just point out and elaborate the topic in English. And next we just move. The writer points out that changing provincial boundaries is constitutionally difficult and requires major constitutional and parliamentary procedures. So, according to the writer, the real problem is not the formation of provinces in the map of Pakistan. It is the quality of governance. Okay, I was just pointing out different. This is a very argumentative article, so I just noted down different things and different points. I thought to mention there and to explain it. The term there is a especially there's a term, you know, spurious connection has been used, which means a connection that appears to exist but is actually false, weak, or misleading. The writer believes it is misleading to say that Pakistan's governance problems exist because Pakistan has too few or badly structured provinces. The writer identifies political instability in her article as one of the central causes. Pakistan has repeatedly experienced military interventions, civilian governments, political conflicts, public protests, institutional confrontation. So, according to Lodi, the writer of the article, this continuing instability prevents governments from developing and implementing long term reforms. There is elite capture of state power. In article, when we go through, elite capture of state power is there, which means that power and government resources are disproportionately controlled and influenced by powerful elites. This is one of the strongest criticism in the article by the writer. The writer describes a chain of interconnected problems and specifically mentions state insolvency, poverty, weak education, weak healthcare, as I mentioned earlier, energy shortages, environmental degradation, youth related challenges, economic stagnation. The writer is presenting Pakistan's problem as an interlocking crisis rather than isolated problems. What does the writer say about economy? Economy is also there mentioned in the article. There is another major part of the editorial. She criticizes successive governments for relying heavily on borrowing, bailouts, external financing, remittances. The writer is of the view that instead of undertaking difficult domestic economic reforms, rather her argument focuses is essentially external money temporarily cover economic problems, but it cannot substitute for structural reforms. The writer also says Pakistan has low levels of savings and investment, which contribute to its economic weaknesses. I'm sure you are understanding the main points I'm just highlighting there. And when you will go through, you will understand properly what mentions there in the article, in the editorial. What about there is also a mention of foreign policy and security. The writer mentions India, the unresolved Kashmir dispute, instability in Afghanistan, geopolitical competition, prolonged foreign policy, and security pressures. These circumstances have pushed security and defense high on the national agenda of Pakistan, but this creates a difficult trade-off. Like more resources devoted to defense and security can lead fewer resources and less policy attention for socio-economic development. The writer's final conclusion in the editorial is that, which is probably the most important sentence of the entire editorial, elite interest, flawed policies, failure to reform, chronic instability, and the headwinds from geopolitical storms are all drivers of Pakistan's governance crisis. I'm sure, in a very nutshell, I have mentioned this all, article in few lines. You will understand and you will enjoy. Thank you very much.